Tommy, weather's getting warmer.
Beautiful.
It's getting really nice here in New York, and I'm excited to announce that I have a couple big matches this week on the golf course. Where else would I go, Jason?
I think the fans are so excited for this this weekly update coming back.
I'm just saying, I've got some things lined up this week, and I'm very excited. It's been a busy couple weeks for me.
You've been working.
I've been working, man. I haven't played golf in a while.
You're headed south.
I'm just excited to have some action and gamble a little bit and hopefully collect some debts on Cash App.
Tell us about where you're going today.
Oh, I'm going down to Nashville today. Going to do Bussin' with the Boys. You can check that out next week, but I will get a match in Nashville, and then I'm playing in the New York area. I'll just describe it as a course in the New York area on Friday. Very excited. And again, Cash App. All right, Trae, thank you so much for joining us, man. We were just talking. A lot of our listeners and viewers have wanted this episode for a long time, so we appreciate the time.
No, I appreciate you having me, y'all.
This is going to be a lot of fun. And I thought it would be appropriate to sort of start with a little interaction that you and I had, and I just want to address it now, which in the fall of 2019, we're playing in our first preseason game in Atlanta. It's my first game for the Pelicans. And
that was your first game?
It was my first game for the Pelicans. It's a preseason game, keep that in mind. And I didn't feel like running back down the court after a missed shot or turnover. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I tried to foul you. I just stopped and tried to foul you at the three-quarter court line, about 75 feet from the basket, and you nutmegged me.
Yeah. No, I remember it. I remember that's one of my best moves I've had so far. My best move.
Well, here's the thing. Again, it was a preseason game, and I didn't want to do the hard foul on you. You know what I mean? I was just trying to wrap you up. It was early in the game. What was fascinating to me about that play, though, was you dribbled so slow afterwards, and you got all the way to the basket.
Yeah, your teammate didn't help you out at all.
They were like, "Oh, we're gonna make a highlight for JJ right now."
No, for sure. But whenever you do that, though, it's like, I know, when I threw it between your legs, you were trying to grab the ball at first too, because I was a little bit kind of away from you for a second, and then whenever you crossed your arms, I was able to get around you without you grabbing me and fouling me. So.
This was the beginning of the end for JJ. That's when he knew.
It was one of the first moments where I said, "Fuck, I'm getting old."
No.
What is the origin of that? Because that's not the only time you've done that in an NBA game. I'd imagine that you probably did that in youth basketball. I don't know if you did in college or not, but when did you start nutmegging people?
Oh, I was doing that in middle school, high school, but that I always used it as a tool, when I'm on the sideline and I can't necessarily go around you or anything. If that's the only way I can get the ball between you, I know if the defender's cutting off the sideline, I'm able to throw between his legs and either run on the outside out of bounds or in the inside. So it's really something I've done for a while. I did it in college a couple of times too. So I did it a couple of times in the league, and everybody knows about the Trevor time and him shoving me and all that. So. I don't do it too much because I know everybody in the league doesn't like that for sure.
When you were doing it in middle school, at what point did your handle get to a place when you were growing up where you were like, I'm confident enough to just drop this on somebody in a game?
It really didn't start till 8th grade. So when I was growing up, I was always a shooter, and I had my teammates that were really good at ball handling, and I was really just a guy that was on the wing, and that's why my range is so far, is because I was always a guy that was on the wing, and as guys got taller, I was just trying to scoop my range further and further back, and because I wasn't growing, but I had to learn how to work on my handle, and so around 7th, 8th grade, I got a lot better at that. So that's when I was able to really handle the ball.
I wanted to bring up the Trevor Ariza play, the attempted. I'll call it an attempted nutmeg on Trevor Ariza, because I think it I think it perfectly encapsulates the Trae Young experience, and by that I mean the confidence to try a move or try a shot in an NBA game, the pushback from either a player or a fan base, and then what I loved about the play, because I rewatched it 5 times this morning, what I love about the play is after he shoves you, you turn to the crowd and you give make some noise motion, and that part of it is just you embracing being essentially a villain. And I want to kind of get the sense of where all of that started for you. Does it go all the way back to middle school, high school, where people came at you and your response was to embrace that role?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really started from growing up and playing up, like just playing against older guys and being the smaller guy and having to really earn that respect, and it was never handed to me. So like anytime that I was playing against older guys or playing with even guys my dad's age, like at the Y when I was a little kid, just I knew I had to be physical. If guys wanted to talk trash, I was gonna talk trash back. I was gonna let them know I was there, and so it was really just playing up. I think it really made me get that mentality. And so when that play happened, it was more about just letting him know I was there, even though he pushed me.
So there's that, but then there's also the confidence, and we're going to get into the confidence in like a real way. But there's a lot of great shooters, there's a lot of great ball handlers growing up, especially. Your confidence has always been another level. Was there a point? Was there a game when you were like in 8th grade, in high school, something like that, where you just kind of the switch flipped a little bit, and you were like, "Oh wait, I actually do this."
Yeah. I mean, in my senior year in high school, I averaged 42, and it's kind of crazy. Like sometimes, like when I'm playing and I just play, like I'm competing, and whatever happens in the game happens, and then after, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, like I can't believe like I just had a game like that. So like, there's definitely moments and times I'm still like it's crazy to me, but I know the work that I put in. So like whenever I do things, it's in the moment. It doesn't really faze me or affect me, but after the games, I'm sometimes still like, it's just crazy.
You mentioned playing up as sort of a means to gain more confidence, a means to embrace, having a chip on your shoulder and all that stuff. How much did your size also play a role in that? No offense, dude. Yeah. You're small for a basketball player.
Yeah.
You're your normal size for human beings.
I feel good in my skin.
You're small
you want.
No, you're small for a basketball player. So how much of it and I assume you heard that in high school. I'm sure you heard it in college because I remember, watching you at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I was like, well, he's maybe too small. He's maybe too, like, how many times did you hear that growing up?
I've heard that over and over again so much. And I've had he's too little, like chants in high school, and even in college we would go on the road. I think Wichita State, it was crazy saying that. But I've been called small my whole life, and I've always just not necessarily just let that one thing fuel me, but that's just one of a few things that's really motivated me to push forward. Because just because I'm smaller than me, I can't play. There's a lot of guys that are smaller than me that guys see me in person and they're like, oh, you're taller than what I thought. And so I'm small for NBA player and basketball player, but I still can do a lot of things.
What is it actually like though to be small in the NBA? And like I'm on the smaller side, but like you're like probably in the 2% of size. You know what I mean? I'm just that experience and a little bit because I did one of your games. I did game 3, your game winner. Mm-hmm. In Atlanta, and so I think a little bit of it, in that series where it's like, okay, we're gonna put size, we're gonna put PJ on Trae, we're gonna switch with Bam, we're gonna put him on Trae, and so just the experience night to night of playing against size all the time. You're never ever going against someone that you're bigger than.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a different type of experience. You have to be, and one thing coming into the draft, a lot of people didn't think I would be is durable. Being small, like, and then coming into the league with grown men and being young, like a lot of people didn't think I'd be durable. But I've been probably the most durable player besides Mikal Bridges in my class since I've played, and I think that's been a big factor for me. And so every night I'm playing, I know I'm not the smallest guy, so I got to take care of my body. And but I definitely lift. I'm taking care of and being strong. So whenever I see big guys, I'm able to take some hits too.
Jason, our wonderful head of production, sent me an article, and there was this quote from your mom about how the Hornets going to Oklahoma City for a couple years, and then of course the Thunder coming, really set the stage for you to sort of start dreaming about the NBA. Mm-hmm. And despite the size issue, despite coming from a small town in Oklahoma, when did that dream like start to take shape, and when did you start to realize like, oh, maybe this is actually something that I can do?
Yeah, for sure. I think growing up, seeing CP when the Hornets came that one year, and then growing up seeing the Thunder and just seeing those guys, just having that dream of playing on that stage. I think really when I got to like sophomore, junior year of high school, playing on one of the best AAU teams with Michael Porter, winning Peach Jam, I think that was a big step for me and my confidence around the country, and just establishing myself as one of the top guards in my class that year, and just I really felt like I should have been ranked higher. I should have been one of the top players in my class.
We all do.
Yeah,
we all do.
But is this the chip on the shoulder?
Nah, for sure. But, so Michael Porter was my teammate, but he was the number one player in the country. So every time we in practice, I mean, me and him talking trash. I'm telling him he's number 2 player, I'm number 1. So we still talk about it all the time to this day. So it's I mean, I think really when I got to that stage and we won Peace Jam, that was when I think it was a big step.
Was there any doubt about going to OU? Was there anyone else even in the?
Oh yeah, I was thinking about going to Kansas for and really a big reason why I didn't go there is because Devontae Graham stayed, and because they had Frank Mason and Devontae Graham, and then he was going to be a senior, so it was a big that was a big reason.
I was watching some of the crazy OU, just lighting people up there for a little bit. Was there any? We always ask this about guys coming to the league, and I'm curious about your experience coming to the league, but just like even going to college, was there any adjustment in terms of the way you play and going from, obviously you're doing the AU stuff, but going from like, you know, high school basketball in Norman into all of a sudden you're putting 45 on people's heads like every night basically?
Yeah.
College.
I was blessed enough to play for a coach like Coach Kruger, and being in Oklahoma and being in basically my city that I grew up in, I had a blessed situation. I mean, the style that Coach Kruger played, everybody knows how Buddy Hield was a couple years before I got there, and him taking him to the Final Four. I knew like my style of the game was going to be able to fit with him, and I saw, even though they didn't make the tournament the year before I got there, I saw some of the pieces that they had, and we were going to return everybody too. So all they needed was a point guard, and for me, being able to step right in my home city, I think it was a no-brainer, and it was a great situation.
You and I share a common bond in that as a visiting player in college, we had an entire student section chant "fuck you."
Yeah.
I thought mine sounded a little better just because JJ kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit.
Yeah,
fuck you JJ versus fuck you Trae Young. And I've talked about this openly. You know, I got comfortable playing that role as a villain, but as an 18-year-old my freshman year, you know, really my sophomore year as a 19-year-old, like it really fucked with me. And I'd heard chants in high school, but it's not the same thing when you're doing a nationally televised game and everybody's like, "Oh, I fucking hate you." And I'm curious if at all like that fucked with you, being so hated that thousands of people are going to yell, you know, chant "fuck you, Trae Young" in the middle of a game.
Hell yeah, it messed with me. In college, it messed with me a lot. Just being 18, 19, and we played in Texas Tech, and I was born in Lubbock, so my dad played there, and so I'm going home. I'm thinking it's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be nice, and midway through the first half, you get one side of a whole arena is yelling "F you," and the whole other side is yelling Trae Young. It's like, did they set this up in harmony like the days before? But it's like, it's crazy, but it did mess me up early. But I think like going through that helped me go through the playoffs, and whenever people say it, I'm able to just brush it off, and this is different.
Yeah, I want to get to that in a second. You talking about going home to Lubbock and, you know, being a place where your dad played. The closest school to my high school that we played against was Virginia Tech, Blacksburg. It was about 45 minutes from my high school. And when we played there, my junior year for the first time, the student section was chanting, you know, they were chanting things at me, not "fuck you" like Maryland, but by the way, fuck Maryland. I never let a chance go. Every camera. No, but you know, they had a sign up that was like Cave Spring was my high school. Cave Spring hates you. There was this big giant banner being held by like 12 people, and they beat us and they stormed the floor, and then they started taunting my family, and they wouldn't let my family leave the arena. Then there was a public dispute between my father and the athletic director at Virginia Tech. Like, it's just the wildness of that. But in a way, I think going through that prepared me for anything I would ever face in the NBA. Because I got to the point where people would yell stuff in the NBA, and I'm like, dude, I've heard that 1,000 times.
There's nothing you can say that I have not heard at this point. So, no, that's perfect. That's how I feel. I've heard it all before.
So we're going to talk about the Knicks in a second. I'm curious about this with them specifically, but also just for fans watching this, or listening to this at home. When you're playing, if you were a fan, should they not heckle you? Because it feels like it makes you. It feels like it makes you play better. It's like if you're a Knick fan, it's like Trae's coming in. Should they just leave you alone and let you do your thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Heat didn't say nothing at all. Like in Miami, I think they just kept it business. I think there's certain guys that you shouldn't talk to. You should leave alone. And I feel like I'm one of those guys in that category. There's definitely a couple guys in this league that you should leave alone. I feel like I'm one of them.
And not to get into your psyche too much, but I do want to get into your psyche a lot. And I'm curious. I talk about this all the time. I had to do this. I think most NBA players do this to agree. But I find that the great players do this more than anyone else. With 82 games and, of course, the playoffs, night to night, it's at times hard to get up for games. And do you find yourself looking into the crowd? Do you find yourself reading something? Do you find yourself finding ways to get motivated? Obviously, you want to play well and you do your prep and you do your routine. You want to go kill.
Yeah.
But some nights you need something a little extra. Do you find yourself searching that out? I mean, Steph Curry's famously, if he has a bad first half, will go read Twitter comments at halftime.
Oh, really? Yeah, I ain't heard that one. That's crazy. But I always try to find something before a game, whether it's myself or just wanting to continue to keep my streak going. If I'm playing good, if I'm not, I want to find a way to get some easy baskets early. It's little things that, I mean, before a game, if just depending on how the previous games are going. I mean, I had the same routine obviously every game, but my mental going into each game may be different because of maybe who I'm playing with, if guys are out or certain guys or whatever. But it's my mental is different every game, just based off, I mean, how I've been playing or what's been going on recently too. So, but my routine never changes.
Yeah, Luka was a great example of this. I wasn't with him that long, but he would be lollygagging through a first half or a second quarter, and someone would come and smack the ball out of his hands on a dead ball, or a fan would say something, and I'm like, you motherfuckers don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. No.
Stop it. So he was having a bad game. It's not going to happen much longer. You can't get people going like that.
No, Luka's one of those guys too. I feel like, I mean, I hate comparisons. I don't like my type of mentality. I don't like comparing people. I don't think that's, I know it's a part of everybody's nature, and that's what we're going to do as basketball fans and all that, but I don't like getting into it a lot. But I feel like similar types of games, if I was 6'8", I'd be just like Luka. I feel like our games, pick and roll, I mean, able to find people, able to get to the lobs, get the floaters, the shooting shots. I think our games are very similar in a way, but he's just 6'7", 6'8", and but he's definitely one of those guys that are, I mean, one of those same guys you leave alone for sure.
I mean, we can jump there real quick because I swear to God I didn't bring him up because I wanted to do the comparison, but I did read that you had a great quote about the comparison being annoying, and I'm sure you're acutely aware of the fact that you will be forever linked to Luka because of that draft night trade. Has your feelings or thought around that link and that comparison evolved in the 4 years you've been in the NBA?
What do you mean by that?
Well, for instance, when you first started and he came out of the gates hot, and I'm not saying you struggled. You played well and you put up numbers, but you were much better after the All-Star break your rookie year. Mm-hmm. Your numbers after the All-Star break, I think you were 25-9 after the All-Star break. You looked like the Trae Young that we know now, right? Mm-hmm. And when he came out, it was like, oh, Dallas clearly won this trade. Where now, you could make an argument. You made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering if initially you were just pissed off, annoyed by the constant comparison. God damn it, I got to live with this for the next 20 years. And now if you're just in a place where you're more comfortable with it.
Yeah. See, early on, like I didn't know what it would be like. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't know how big the comparison would be, and I didn't necessarily think it would be still to this day. You know what I'm saying? But on draft night, you're just emotional. You're happy. You're going to a certain city, and then obviously everybody continues to talk, and I'm at the point now. I just play. Like I just play, and there's so much recency bias with everything. You know what I'm saying? I went to Eastern Conference Finals last year. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Trae's better than Luka. You know what I'm saying? They won the trade. Then they go this year. It's different. We go to the finals next year. What everybody gonna say? You know what I'm saying? That's my mentality, and I know winning's gonna take care of everything. So I just focus on my team and winning, and let everybody else do all the comparing and doing all that. I don't have time for it.
What was your draft night experience like? Like, when did you know the trade was going to happen and everything like that?
I didn't know till the third pick. So right when Luka got picked, I was told that he wasn't going there and that I was going there, and Dallas was going to trade. So right when Jaren got picked, I had already knew, and so when I got called, I was tripping. I didn't know anything, because to be honest, I thought I was going to go to Orlando at 6. They needed a point guard, and so I had no idea I was going to go. So
the decision to wear shorts on draft night.
Oh yeah, my decision.
No, it was clearly your decision.
Oh yeah.
Take us through that thought process.
So I was thinking about something that nobody's ever done before, and throughout the year, everybody was wearing, or during the playoffs, I saw, I think Draymond was wearing some shorts, and some other guys throughout the playoffs were wearing shorts, but nobody had done it to the draft. So I was like, maybe this could be the year. And then my little brother wanted to match me, so I thought it was easy, and I thought it was something that, I mean, obviously people gonna remember.
You brought up the by the way, it's elite fit. Like I am not a guy that ever hates. If someone wants to go outside the box, by all means, like if you can pull it off.
It's super memorable.
It's great. It's great. I appreciate it, dude. I'm not there. That's not me. I'm a white tee guy, you know. I think I've worn this shirt and these pants in like 8 of these episodes. I want to touch back on something that you just said about recency bias, because I had a different experience than you throughout my career. You know, even in college, we were talking about this before we started recording. You know, there was no social media. There wasn't 24/7 news when I first 5-6 years in the NBA. You know, Twitter wasn't really a thing. IG wasn't a thing. And then I saw that evolve over the course of my career. You have only known that since you've been a public figure as a basketball player, whether it was college. Like I think our college experiences in terms of your year and my senior year were probably fairly similar in terms of the hype and the attention and all that stuff. I mean, night to night, like as an NBA player, I don't watch college basketball. I watch 5 Duke games a year. Yeah. I watched your games. You know what I mean? That's how like big you are. Kevin Durant, Zion were probably the only other 2 people in my career that I would like take time out of my day to watch. And this is like all you've experienced is this recency bias. And are you like comfortable with it? Does it get annoying? Does it get annoying night to night, morning to morning on First Take, whatever it may be, just having to constantly deal with that?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said it didn't at times before. I think now, like, I mean, even though I feel like I'm still young, I feel like I'm at a better place with everything, like mentally. I understand what it is. Like, I understand how if guys have good games, good stretches, you got to talk about them on First Take. You got to talk about them on these shows. You know what I'm saying? If they're not playing good, you may not talk about them. I understand if our team isn't winning throughout the beginning of the season, you ain't going to talk about us at all. So you got to start winning throughout the beginning of the season so your team's getting talked about. So I think I'm starting to learn this game, and it's been tough because our teams have always, these past couple of years, have been good in the second half of the season. So throughout the beginning of the year, nobody's talking about the Hawks. Nobody's talking about us. And last year we get to the 5th seed, and we shock everybody, but we were really good throughout the whole year. But I understand it's because we weren't winning in the beginning of the year. So it's really a thing that I'm just starting to really understand.
I was going to ask you about the Hawks. We always talk about this. We talk about this in the show a lot. Like, the people that cover the stuff, the networks, everything like that, they talk about the Lakers, they talk about the Knicks,
Warriors,
talk about the Warriors, Nets, maybe one or two others, but they're not talking about the Hawks. And
really, no one else.
Yeah,
I just did it for the last 6 months. Really, no one else.
No matter what's happening, they're not talking about it. So the games are not on national TV. Yeah. Like people know you because it's you, and they know you from college or whatever. But like they're not necessarily talking about you going off on a random night. So do you feel like last year in particular, like you guys were just like slept on? Like that team was fucking good and deep, and it was like you come in and and people were like, oh, they're not. It's the Hawks, whatever. And then,
I get it because the year before that we weren't very good, and I mean, although I was like all-star the year before, we didn't go to the playoffs. So coming in, it's hard for really people to talk about us. You know what I'm saying? And but as the season goes on, I feel like we definitely were being slept on. But coming into the season, I understand what it is, and but that's why it all matters at the end and what you do.
The Knicks series, playing in the Garden, doing the bow, the chanting, the taunting back to the crowd. Was that peak Trae Young? I'm not talking about the basketball part.
Oh, I'm nowhere
but was
near
that
peak?
No, I know you're not. I know you're not.
God.
Yeah, you're fourth year, dude. I'm talking about just like peak Trae the villain. Was that peak Trae Young?
I don't know. That was a fun series.
You enjoyed it. You enjoyed all of that.
I did. Just because I know the stage. Like I just knew the stage, and it being their first time back to the playoffs, and I don't know how long. And just
I feel so bad for Knicks fans.
It was loud. Like it was crazy. Like I've never been. I mean, I give them a lot of credit. It was the craziest environment probably I played in. And I played in college environment. It's way different than NBA games. So for the fact that was even that loud and from the start to finish, and then them yelling the whole time, it was probably one of my favorite times playing basketball.
So everyone talks about the Knicks series, rightfully so, but I wanted to ask you about the Philly series because I feel like you guys ripped the soul out of that franchise twice in that series. Obviously in the Game 7, but then in the comeback before. Is there can you explain to sort of the casual listener what it's like to like rip the heart out of a building like that is that enthusiastic, and then you just come in 9 minutes and just take and suck everything out?
It's no other feeling like whenever you go on the road and you're just playing, especially you playing an arena like Philly and their fans start booing their own team, and it's loud, like it's crazy, like it's just there's no other feeling, like. But they want to do the same thing to us, you know what I'm saying? Like I know that when they came and they beat us in Game 6, that was their mentality. They wanted to come and not let us win and end it because we were up 3-2 after the Game 5 comeback. So we knew we had to go up there and take care of business. But that was, I mean, a crazy series, and I mean, obviously people talk about we ended the process, but that was a big deal for us.
When Ben Simmons decided to pass, how shocked were you?
I didn't realize in the moment what it was, but I mean, I looked on my phone after the game. Everybody's killing him.
You were coming over as the help defender, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I've always wanted to ask you this. Yes. What were you going to do? Had he gone up to dunk or shoot a layup, even if you just go up to shoot a layup and use the size, like what were you going to? What was your plan in that moment?
It depends. If you would have turned and faced the basket and kept it high, there's no reason to foul and get him an N1. But if he did what he was doing, which took a low dribble, and I think he spun and took a low dribble, I would have fouled him and not let him get the shot off, or try to hit the ball, or just try to hit his arm and get him sent into the free throw line. But I think he kind of knew that I was going to come over and foul him, and that's why he passed it up. And so, but yeah.
In a little bit of fairness to Ben, a little bit. I'm not condoning him passing the ball. He was a little off balance. He also probably didn't know that it was you. And I think that's what, in a way, that's what makes the pass so egregious.
Yeah.
Because as a fan, you're like, it's Trae coming. They'd be like me coming over. You know, it's like, why are you passing up a layup against me? It's a stupid fucking play.
But you know, like in those moments when you spin, it's a quick moment. He may not know that it was me.
He sees a Hawks jersey and he's like, let me get off.
Yeah. And he sees a blue jersey right behind me that he can just drop off and maybe get a layup. So, I mean, it's a bang play, and it sucks for him. I understand, like that's a tough play because he's a good player. Like I hate how people talk how bad of bad of a player he is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying about recency bias. I think he's a really good player, but I think one moment can get people turning.
We've said this all the time. I understand, because I played in Philly, and I understand some of the gripe that Philly fans have with him in terms of the reluctance to shoot. Because he does work on shooting, and I don't have a reason why he won't shoot. So I think it's like the lack of growth in that department is very frustrating for them. Yeah. On the flip side of that, I think we don't appreciate Ben enough for how great he is at the things he does well. And he is a great player. And I honestly, I hope he recovers and is healthy and comes out next year and just kills for the Nets. Did you, this year, when you went back to Philly, did you experience any of that animosity on a similar level that you experienced going back to the Garden?
Oh, nah. Nah, it was different. I mean, they have a not totally different team, but they're a different kind of roster. We're playing Tyrese a little bit more. So it's a totally different situation, I feel like, there than New York. I feel like them, Sav and Julius and all those guys from last year was kind of why it's still a little battle, and a lot of fans love it. So I don't think the same thing.
Are you aware that you live rent-free in New York Knicks fans' heads? Are you aware of some of the stuff that has happened? They'll win a game and they'll go out in the streets and they'll start chanting "Fuck you, Trae Young."
Oh yeah.
But it's against the Celtics, or I believe there was a time where they started chanting "Fuck you, Trae Young" at a concert.
Yeah. It was Yankees games. I saw a clip the other day. Somebody showed me. I don't know if y'all saw Denzel say something to the Heat players about
at the elevator.
Yeah, give somebody give that boy a haircut. Talking about me. Comes to find out he's a New Yorker, Denzel. So it's like, I mean, I'm a big fan of him, but then it finds out he's a New Yorker. So I mean, I've come to realize it is what it is.
The thing is, they got to beat you. Like this is a one-sided battle right now. So it's like they could say, this is what we were talking about earlier, they could say whatever they want, but like the Knicks need to beat Trae Young in a playoff series for this to become more of like a back and forth rivalry. Right now it's not.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
You clearly have the upper hand in that department. On that question about peak Trae Young, let's get to the basketball part of peak Trae Young and what that looks like. You just finished your fourth year. I think you led the league in total assists and total points, if I'm not mistaken. I know you averaged whatever it was, 28 and 9.7. The advanced stats love you too on that side of the ball. You're third in the league in offensive win shares.
Stats guru.
I'm on Basketball Reference all day long, bro. And then I get a newsletter now every morning with all these crazy stats. I eat it up. I love it. But the two guys ahead of you in offensive win shares were Jokic and Giannis. So on that side of the ball, let's talk about that side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball. Where do you see growth for yourself? Where do you feel like you can be better?
I mean, I wanted to continue to get better in my efficiency every year, and I've done that every year, and that's one goal of mine every year is to continue to get better in my efficiency from all areas of the floor. And I wanted to add my mid-range, just work more on my mid-range, because that's another layer of the game that I feel like DeMar is killing and certain guys are killing, and it's working to their advantage. So working more in the mid-range and not necessarily shooting long floaters and more mid-range pull-ups like CP and certain guys. So I think those two things and continuing to be more efficient. I mean, it's hard to continue to lower my turnovers because I have the ball in my hand so much. So I want to continue to lessen my turnovers even more too. But those are three probably things that I want to focus on.
I went on Pablo Torre's podcast last week. He wanted to do an episode on flopping. And one of the little tidbits from the episode, and Sue brought this up, Sue Bird, our friend Sue Bird, brought this up during the Sloan conference, where she found out that I would practice coming off screens, coming off dribble handoffs, coming off step-up pick and rolls in my off-season workouts. I'd practice going up for my shot and then flailing my arms and flailing my legs. Practice basically somebody trying to strip down on you or somebody nudging you on the leg, right? So I'd practice those shots. And I would make them in practice, and I would then make them in a game. I did it all the time. The most fascinating thing you do on a basketball court, you do a lot of fascinating things. One of the most fascinating things you do on a basketball court to me is you shoot your floater and your lob pass the same exact way. Mm-hmm. How much practice goes into that?
It's a lot. It's a connection to thing with my bigs, like me telling them like, and it comes from like me learning from certain guys like CP. I know a lot of people killing him now recently, but I mean he's a legend. I've learned a lot from CP and him talking like always. You know what I'm saying? When even if a screen's not there, set it like screen like just he's always talking. I think when I come off a screen with Clint or John, I'm telling him roll, big fella, roll, and sometimes it's just to get his man to go back to him so I can shoot the floater. Or if he comes to me, then I know my bigs is still rolling because I told him to roll, and it's a lot right to the rim. So it's a learning thing, and I feel like I'm pretty good at it now, and I can be a little bit better. But that's what it is.
Yeah, but in real time, I don't think people that watch that appreciate in real time how difficult that is. That decision is made essentially as you're going into the same motion.
Yeah.
You're making the same motion going up, and then you're making that decision sometime in the air, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's why I tell my teammates, be aggressive first. So like when I'm going, I'm looking to shoot the floater first, and if I see the big coming to contest, it's an easy floater, just a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right for my bigs to go catch it.
How are you supposed to defend that?
I mean it's
You don't play drop coverage.
Yeah,
that's fucking how.
What do you do? That's it.
But that if you look back at the series we won, we beat. I mean the Knicks. He had Robinson and Nerlens, they were in drop coverage a lot. I mean, Joel was in drop coverage, and then you played Milwaukee, Brook, and those guys were in the same thing. So I think it's this year Miami, they did a lot of switching the defense.
Yeah.
And
but again, that was a matchup thing. The playoffs are all about matchups, and that to me was a bad matchup, not just for your team, but a little bit for you as well, because you weren't going to get
the pick and roll,
the comfort. Like I think about the switch Dallas made in that series. Against CP, against Book, what do they do that's comfortable? Well, CP is comfortable playing against drops. Okay, we're not going to play drops. We're gonna switch or late switch everything. Mm-hmm. What does Book do? He comes off a DHO on that backside action and he turns the corner for his pull up J. Okay, we're just going to blitz that. Yep. You know, that's essentially what the playoffs are. Like, how do we make best players uncomfortable?
But sometimes it's more personnel too, because not every team can do that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you say that and you telling Joel and B to do that every time, and you telling him to go score on the other end, it's hard for him to be up. And whenever y'all been playing drop coverage all year, and but so I think you're right. That's what the good teams do, and that's why the team that beat us did it.
It's I believe why Miami specifically and Boston specifically are in the Eastern Conference Finals, because they have the personnel to do pretty much everything defensively. A great example of what you're talking about is the Golden State series against Denver this year. And granted, Denver was completely outmatched and they're missing two of their three best players, but in that game one, it was clear like they had an emphasis on being up in pick and rolls with Jokic. He hasn't done that all season. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Steph's just thrown over the top. Draymond's going downhill 4-on-3.
Yeah, that's
the playoffs. And so the best teams to me have that versatility of being able to play a bunch of different ways.
No, for sure. And that's where we're trying to get to, and that's where we got to go.
I just want to last point on the floater as a viewer. I think what's fascinating about it is that I can never tell what you're doing on that floater or pass until there's a dunk or the shot goes in. It's just it's a weird experience because you're watching a game and there's things that, what did he just do? It's every time.
Yeah.
You know? That was a shot. Okay.
Yeah, I've watched some games in film where they were like they didn't know what it was. But no, I think as a small guard you got to have it. I mean, maybe not necessarily a guy like you that's coming off necessarily shooting. You're taller than I am, so I needed it. Like I've always needed it on that floater. So I've constantly worked on my floater.
Yeah. Are there other guys like CP that you've looked up to might be the wrong word, but you just watch and you sort of learn from over the years, and they just do different sort of specific, especially offensive skill set things where you're like, I want to try to emulate part of that into my game?
There's a lot of guys. Recently, Tony Parker came to one of our games. I told him about like his finishing around the rim. Like it's a guy who I watched a lot of floaters. Like I watched him, Steve Nash. There's Chauncey Billups. Like I was a big Chauncey Billups fan. Just the way he was ready for the shots, like big shot Billups. Like I'm a big fan of his. There's a lot of guys. I mean, AI being small, scorer, being able to do it all. Those 4 guys, first 4 that really come to mind.
All right, let's talk about the other side of the ball. What does peak Trae Young on defense look like? Because this is something that I had to deal with in my career as well. There were different points in my career where people would say, as a compliment, oh, he's not that bad, actually, defensively.
Yeah.
It's probably the nicest thing everybody said. I was actually solid there for a few years. But no, that was generally the compliment. That was the best version of a compliment that I could get. He's generally not that bad on defense. And then, of course, there were years where I was god-awful on defense. I'll admit that. And especially as, I hit age 36, 37, and was injured. I couldn't fucking move my last year. Just why you threw the ball between my legs. But some of that, for me, and we're in the same sort of category on this, some of that is just size. Like, I have a negative wingspan. If I was 6'4" with a 6'9", 6'10" wingspan, I would have been a better defender. That's just facts. Mm-hmm. So how do you sort of view that side of the ball and where you can make improvements?
Yeah, for me, I think on defense, like you said, there's some things that I wasn't blessed with. I wasn't blessed with height. I have a shorter wingspan than my body. So, like you said, that didn't work to my advantage. So, I think for me, it's all about positioning, and I think I'm learning, and I got to be a lot better, and I'm still learning how to be in better position early, and so I'm not put in certain situations where I'm caught because I'm smaller. So it's more about just learning reads. I got to be more into the film room before I play a team, knowing certain things going into next year. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to be looking to improve on next year, and that's one area for sure too.
Did you learn anything in the Miami series? Did you walk away from that series saying, "Man, fuck"? Like, some of it again was personnel, of course, and some of it was a bad matchup. But did you walk away from that series like, "Fuck, I got to do this part better"? Yeah,
I mean, for me, I don't look at all those other excuses that could happen. I feel like we went to the series, and I feel like we had a chance to win. And I think looking back at it, I feel like what we could have done better is get out and transition more, because that's a really good half-court defensive team. But when you're not getting the ball off a rebound and they're getting it and they're scoring, it's hard to get in transition. But I think if we would have got more stops and got in transition more, it would have helped us. And because they're a really good half-court defensive team, and I think that slowed the game down. And we're a high-paced offensive team, and that really messed us up.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing I kept saying when I was doing the game is like, and your game-winning bucket was on this scenario. I was like, Trae's got to attack before the defense gets set, because against that set defense, and we saw it last night as well. We're recording this right after Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. When you go in an ISO situation and try to go against really good defenses where they have guys in the gaps that are gonna be there in the gap, they're not moving. And then they're going to fly around and close out. I mean, Jimmy Butler had one in the strong side corner against Tatum last night and blocked it. Right. And so it's like you've got to be able to get the ball quickly, even off a make, and just attack before that big or before that guy sets up at the nail.
And that's the thing. In Game 3, the one game we won, we were at home and guys were knocking down shots. And so whenever the Miami Heat, they play their defense the same way until you break it. So they're going to be at their boxes and elbows and helping and being in the passing lanes until you knock it down. And so I think Bogey got going that game, and a transition play, everybody was spreading out. Nobody was really sprinting back to the paint like they usually do, and was able to get a floater.
I was going to ask you sort of similarly about the older guys that you grew up watching, younger guys around the league that you like. We talk to a lot of different guys about this, about just guys who are not, all stars.
He is a young guy.
Not you, not Luka, not the sort of upper echelon superstar types, but just can't be your teammate. But other young guys you feel like are just, doing something that is kind of under the radar. Like people aren't talking about them so much.
I mean, I think it's really cool because like, seeing like a lot of young guards really do some cool things and big things early in the career is big. I think Darius Garland, what he did for Cleveland this year, with Garland being out, obviously those three bigs really helped him. But he did a good job getting everybody involved, scoring when he needed to. I'm a big fan of Darius. We've played against each other growing up in AAU too. So seeing him really take his team to the next level this year was big time.
Trae, before we let you go, we got a couple more minutes with you. I want to just nerd out a little bit on 3-point shooting. And you are one of the guys that could essentially function on a basketball court if there was a 4-point line. I think it's probably 3 of you. There's probably you, Steph, and Damian Lillard. But I always say the 3 of you shoot unconventional shots because both you and Steph, in a way, your release is different, but in a way shoot a push shot on the way going up, not at the apex of the jump. And then Dame shoots a palm ball. So he has, his base is insane and he has so much lift on his base. Exactly. But he shoots a palm ball, so he gets a little extra distance that way too. And you talked about just as a young player being able to extend your range because you were playing on the wing and all that stuff. But from a technical standpoint, how are you? I think it's your wrists. Your wrists are fucking insane. When I watch you shoot, your wrist flick is insane. But for you, where do you think your advantage is in being able to shoot from that far away?
I think, to be honest, I think it's in my forearms. I think shooting that far is in my forearms. I used to be in high school with those little things that walk around the class, just working on my forearm just to make sure when I got to practice like
the lacrosse ball type things.
Yeah,
it's not exactly lacrosse ball, but yeah. Oh, the grippers, the vice things. Yes.
Okay. So I would work on that just to make sure my forearms are ready for practice. But that's like, I feel like I get my range from my forearms and my wrists, obviously. But I think it helps because guys have to pick me up higher. And if it's not an advantage for me to get by my defender and there's a bunch of space, I'm able to throw it to another guy who's a driver who can use that space that my guy is. Because usually the guy is not necessarily in the paint or helping at the nail. He's more connected to me, so it's more space behind it. So it's more driving lanes for everybody.
What is your actual range? Like, what do you
comfortable?
Yeah.
Don't gaslight us. Like, tell us the truth here, man.
I feel comfortable when I step. Probably cross half court. Like when I'm in the logo, like, but it's really just a feel thing.
JJ, is it weird for you as one of the better shooters of all time to then see because obviously you guys play the game differently.
Yeah.
But to see people with range that is this extensive?
Yeah, it's similar to you. When I was in high school, I wasn't shooting high school threes.
Yeah,
I was very comfortable shooting NBA threes. In college, I would shoot beyond. Like we'd go play at the Garden, and I'd shoot behind the NBA line. It wasn't a big deal to me, but my range had a limit. Like it really did. I would get to like 30. What is it? 24 feet. I get to like 30 feet, and I'm pretty much cashed out. Like I can't really shoot the same shot past 30 feet. Yeah. And some of that is, I think, because of the way I jump, jumping forward, kind of using that momentum. And
you shoot at the top of your...
And I shoot at the top. And I think that you don't kind of get enough
Yeah, you don't have enough strength. It's I couldn't do that. I know I couldn't. I shoot on my way up. So that's how I'm able to shoot further, too. I use my legs to push a little bit further. So, somebody who shoots at the top of their release, it's harder to shoot way further.
Hard. Everyone loves a wedding, right? And whether you're going to be a groom in a wedding party or a lucky guest, everyone wants to look their best. Well, with a custom-fitted suit from Indochino, you'll look great, feel confident, and enjoy the big day without fussing over your clothes. And honestly, it doesn't matter what the event is. When you can choose every detail on a suit, shirt, dinner jacket, and at more affordable prices, you know you're going to look and feel great.
Every suit is made to your exact measurements, and you can customize every detail. Create a suit that fits you and your style perfectly, with options for fabrics, label shape, custom monograms, statement linings, and more. And the best part, Indochino suits start from just $429 and shirts from just $79.
Yeah, Tommy, I've ordered from Indochino, and there's nothing like a tailored suit that fits perfectly. You can move at ease and feel confident that you look great. So if you've got a big day coming up, getting the perfect look is no big deal with Indochino. Get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more by using promo code OLDMAN at Indochino.com. That's $50 off a purchase of $399 or more at INDOCHINO.com. Promo code OLDMAN. Let's be honest, most of us would love to be an everyday investor and make some serious money.
But that's a lot easier said than done, especially in this day and age. That's because as everyday investors, the cards are stacked against you. You've been given access to this marketplace of stocks, but you're competing against institutional investors with unlimited resources. Well, with Titan, you get access to strategies similar to those in the 1% without having to be ultra wealthy or pay hefty fees. All it takes is $100 to get started. Deposit your money, select which of their portfolios you want to invest in, and that's it.
With Titan, you have a personal investment team that researches and invests for you so that you can aim to outperform the market while giving you a courtside seat to become a smarter investor along the way. And now, Titan's bringing their knowledge to an expertly managed crypto portfolio. Instead of trying to guess where to start, let a team who eats, sleeps, and breathes crypto do the work for you.
Yeah, Tommy, with Titan, I love the peace of mind I get with a team of experts managing my investments. I know they always have my back. So check out Titan if you want to aim to become the smartest, wealthiest investor you've ever been. Head to titan.com/oldman to get $50 when you invest with Titan. You must go to this URL or you will not get that $50. And they won't know that we sent you. That's $50 when you go to titan.com/oldman and invest with Titan. That's titan.com/oldman. Invest with Titan. This is a paid partnership with Titan, and at the time of publication, I'm not yet invested in Titan strategies. Everyone has their own experience with free trial subscriptions, and no matter how the story goes, the ending is usually the same. You find out months later that you're paying for something that you don't even use. Well, now you can fight back with Truebill. Truebill helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill.
And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. One woman even found out her ex was still using her Netflix account, which we all know probably happens all the time.
Yeah, Tommy, Truebill is great. I had so many subscriptions to things I completely forgot about, and they took care of them all. So don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/JJ. Go right now, truebill.com/JJ. It could save you thousands a year. One last time, truebill.com/JJ.
I want to end on this. I just thought of this when you were talking about the pickup point. And it was about halfway through my first year in Philly, and then pretty much all of my second year in Philly. They liked Ben was the point guard, but they liked him on bigger guys, and they would put me on point guards. I'm 35 years old, and I'm guarding Trae in Atlanta. And I just remember what was so difficult was not fouling you, because I had to pick you up so high, and you were so good at turning the corner. Mm-hmm. And that part of your game, and a lot of people talked about it. A lot of people talked about it at the beginning of the year because you did an illegal move where you jumped backwards into people, which absolutely should not be a foul on a defensive player. You'll admit that.
Yeah.
You'll admit that.
Yeah.
But you're still able to get fouled.
Yeah.
Despite your size. Like, how do you sort of navigate that in real time in a game?
I mean, so I gotta use that to my advantage. If guys want to be physical and be bigger and be all stronger and stand over me and all that, like, I gotta use that to my advantage. I gotta use their aggressiveness and start, stop, use it. Like, I know how to change pace. I think changing speeds and changing pace gets guys off balance, and it forces them to use their hands or use their knee to slow me down. So that's a foul automatically. So I just know, especially when I'm going into a game and I know how physical guys are going to be, and if they're picking me up full court, I know how to use their hands against them. So I kind of like using their aggressiveness against them.
It's the hezzy dribble for me, because you're legitimately like 38 feet from the basket, picking you up, and then you go into the hezzy dribble, and that high on the court, you still know there's potentially a screen coming, and you can either go hezzy right or flip it back going left. And on that left side, you always like bringing it down the left side. And that to me was like, I'm fucking guessing every time. And I'm not a good defender, but I'm guessing every time. I don't know after that. Once you hesitate, I'm like, all right, pick a side.
Yeah, but that's a good point, because I like using that a lot. So that's a big move of mine, and I actually learned that from Steve Nash, and so getting into my hezo, I'm able to read what the defense is going to do. If I'm getting into my hezo and I see the defender about to jump over the screen, I'm able to have time to reject it. If I see he's late a little bit, I'm able to use that skip to get into a burst off the screen.
And a lot of times that's where you get into that lob game, is when you do get that burst going right, and then Clint gets behind the defense. I watch the game. I watch the game, man. I watch the game.
You know your stats, man.
Trae, we appreciate it, brother. This is awesome.
This is great. Appreciate y'all.